In this web tutorial, I'm going to show you how to use Early English Books Online, which is an online database containing images of nearly every English book printed from the 15th century all the way up to 1700. There's a sister service that contains later volumes, which you can also obtain records through the Early English Books Online search. Now, when you go to Early English Books Online, this is quite likely the first window that you're going to see. What it's saying is you're not logged in. To use this service, you need to log in to the University of Ghent's network, either by using a computer directly connected to the network, such as the computers at the Boekentoren or in the computer labs, or using a VPN client. I am going to log in through the virtual private network, which will automatically make my computer part of the network. Now I'm logged into the network, so I'm going to come up here and I'm going to refresh the page. And now a slightly different window has come up. So I'm logged in, and I'm going to go to search. Now, there are a lot of records, and they are continually adding more as they're discovered. It is necessary to think about narrowing things down often. I'm going to look for records by a particular author whose last name is Allen. Now, if I just type Allen into author keywords and hit search, I'm going to get a lot of records. 732 hits and 128 records. I don't really want to spend all of my time looking at 128 records spread across this many pages. So what I'm going to do is refine my search. The Allen that I'm looking for was writing at the end of the 16th century, so I'm going to refine it by time. We're going to go from 1550 to 1600. And I've narrowed it down to 24 records, which is much more manageable. And here is the record that I'm looking for. An admonition to the nobility and people of England and Ireland concerning the present wars made for the execution of His Holiness' sentence by the High and Mighty King Catholic of Spain by the Cardinal of England. The Cardinal of England, that is William Allen. He was made Cardinal of England during the time at which the Pope had excommunicated Elizabeth I and England was at war with Spain. Now, in order to see everything that I want to see and make my life a little easier, especially if I'm looking at more than one record at a time, like I might also be interested in this. Which is another thing that he wrote. I'm going to check those boxes. And I'm going to come over here to page 2 and see if there's anything else that I might want. There's another William Allen publication. Here's another one. And let's say I want this one as well. Now, I've narrowed down what records I want to look at. I come up here and I click on Marked List. And then a page comes up with just the records that I've selected. Now this is a record that I'm primarily interested in. Without looking through it page by page at this point, I'm just going to say I'm going to download it, rather than reading it on Early English Books Online. So I'm going to click Download Document Image Sets. And then you have two options. You can download the entire document, which is only 31 images in this instance. Or if you've already searched it and figured out what range of images are most interesting for you, you can download that range of images. But bear in mind, this number, the image number, does not correspond necessarily with the page numbers in the document. So when you're noting down what's interesting to you, you have to look at the bottom of the page for the image number, not at the top of the page for the document's own page numbers. I'll show you what I mean in a little bit, but first, download entire document and click Download. It's been converted to PDF. Now to download it, you have to hit Confirm, and you can see that the document's been placed on your desktop. And if you have a Mac, it will open up automatically. And here it is. Now I want to go back to my marked list. And the marked list is only good for while you're on this session. It's not going to save it. If you log out of Early English Books Online and go to another web page and then come back, your marked list will disappear. It doesn't carry over to the next time that you come on. But I want to look at another of these. Let's say this one, A Defense and Declaration of the Catholic Church's Doctrine Touching Purgatory and Prayers for the Souls Departed, which is a much earlier writing by William Allen. So I'm going to click on the title. And a records page appears. It tells you where the original is located, how many leaves are involved, the imprint, which is like the publication information, so place of publication, what we would now think of as the publishing company, which is usually an individual at this point in time, and time of publication. Now I want to view this record. And to view this document, you have to select one of these. And the key is right here. So you can view the record, which we're looking at. You can view the document images. You can view it as an illustration. You can view full text, which I'll come back to in a minute, or you can look at thumbnails. Thumbnails are not that interesting unless you're going to scan over them quickly because you're looking for an image that you can pick out. But I'm not looking for iconography in a record like this. So what I'm most interested in is document image. So click on the little camera. And a series of images will come up, which you can page through by clicking Next Image. Now, sometimes, and you can adjust this view or you can print the image, but sometimes these are really small to read. Or difficult because the copy's been damaged in some way. And here you can see that there's fading. Or places where the initial copy just didn't print very well. Or the way it was scanned means that there's very little margin on one of the pages and it's slightly distorted. So there's something that you can sometimes do on Early English Books Online to help yourself out. It is not an option on all of the publications yet, but you also have full text. So I'm on this image. And you can see that these have folio pagination, which happens to line up with image numbers. So the last image we looked at, this is marked 3, and 3 indicates both recto and the verso. But the verso is on image 4. This is something that you have to keep in mind when you're printing a specific range of images, or when you do this. You come up here and you click full text for page image 4. What it has here is a transcript of the document. And here's the transcript of page image 4, this and this. But what this actually is folio 3 verso, and this is folio 4 recto. So be certain which pages you're looking at, especially when you go to write your paper and you have to cite a specific, in this instance, folio rather than page. Also bear in mind that this is meant as an aid to reading the original, not as a replacement. What you should do is obtain the PDF and bring that up on your screen. And then print this. You go to the printable version, and then you can print the transcript. And you could have that by the side of your computer while you're looking at your PDF version, and it'll help you read it. Keep in mind that this transcript, it can have errors, okay? It can have gaps. And it doesn't always indicate very well where the marginal notes on the original text have actually been placed. So that's something else that you have to look for. So this is not a replacement, and you can't really use it that way. You still have to look at the original. Also, if the work is very big, Early English Books Online will only show you portions of the transcript. And here what we have is not a copy of his entire defense and declaration. What we have is just the section that we were looking at according to the table of contents. We were looking at the to the reader address. To look at more, you have to look at the table of contents. I'm going to go back to basic search. You see there are other options for searching. You can search by keyword, and what that will do is look for words located in the texts. Now, what you're always going to want to do, especially if you're looking for really early works, like things from the 16th and the 17th century, is you're going to want to check for variants, because spelling's not standardized. Subject keywords is not as good a way to search as just keywords. The subject keywords, that's been determined by another person who's assigned that book to a certain set of subjects. So it's usually preferable to use the keyword search. And unless you have something specific in mind, avoid author keywords and title keywords. And I would hold off on subject keywords as well. And make sure to use limit by date